What is up? What is up? Welcome. We'll get started in a little bit. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. All right. Let's see if we can get a couple more people in here. Yes, yes, yes. YouTube gave me back my chat so we can chat. Although, join the conversation. Although it doesn't look like other people can comment. Are you guys able to comment? Shows that I have the chat. Shows that I have the chat. I don't know if you guys can. Let me see in the chat. You guys can comment. Get a thumbs up. I'm running out of space up here. I need room for my mouse. That would help. So I'm not just hunched over. Thought I was ready, but I'm not. Where'd the mouse go? Ooh. Ahí está. All right. So as y'all could tell by the title, it's another Biotech and Chill. We got that BBE going. That big brain energy. Let's tap in. Nerd vibes and goated minds. Yes, yes, yes. All right. Yes. Man, so where are the jobs at, y'all? Where are the jobs? That's what we're trying to figure out today. I've got some ideas. I've got some thoughts. Got some takes on what's going on in the biotech world. We'll talk about that. What's the likelihood of this future, this career path? How reliable is it? How reliable is it? How about we view the actual? There we go. That's what we wanted to see. All right, peeps. Looking good. Looking good. Whoa. What on earth? I guess other people have different takes on BVE. But I'll tell you what it is for me. It's that big brain energy. What's up, y'all? What's up? What is up? What is up? Scoot this in a little bit. Man, this camera, this webcam is pretty bad. Pretty dog. It's dog water. What is up? What is up, peeps? Let me get something in the chat. If you can hear me, y'all can type in the chat. Last time I had it disabled. They disabled my chat, so I don't know if it's working. Is it working? Can we get it? Yeah? All right. Biotech and chill, y'all. Already know what's on the agenda. We're talking jobs. Have y'all been looking for jobs lately? I don't mean any jobs. I mean in that biotech world. Can we a little bit? Yes, yes, yes. There we go. Let me get into position. So peeps, welcome. Biotech and chill. Shout out to everyone that's tapping in with us. The scientist, 777 jackpot. You already know. Big key the scientist. Lab coat mushrooms. Follow me on Insta. So today we're going over the biotech, biopharma job market. And man, from what I can tell, from what I've been experiencing, and perhaps we all will share, it's not looking too good. It's not looking too good, as it might have been maybe 4 years ago, 5 years ago, which is very interesting. It's very interesting because with the things that went on in the past 5 years, science has been in the forefront. It really took center stage, and got this book right here, The Depth of Science. I'm going to be reading that. And The Retreat from Reason in the Postmodern World. Basically, like what happens when, integrity is gone from science, when it's too much about the money, and what happens to science at that point. But there's some encouragement, to be spoken of and to be mentioned. So it's not all downhill. It's not all bad. There's definitely hope, and there's opportunity still. In fact, opportunity is to create opportunity. We'll dive deeper in there. We'll dive deeper in that. All right. Well, what's the state of the job market right now? Honestly, how many applications are y'all putting in a day? And why is it a numbers game? Why is it a numbers game? You'll go on Indeed, LinkedIn, or one like that, and you'll see the job. You may even get a notification saying you're a top fit for this job. You click on it. Maybe it's a day, a week, maybe even hours old. Over 100 applicants. What's going on? What is going on? Over 100 applicants. How can you ever sift through all the applicants when you're getting that many people applying? What are the exact parameters you're trying to gauge these future employees? What do you need? What do you need from them? It's not just a degree anymore. I'll tell you that. It's definitely not just a degree. And if it is, what kind of degree? I'll break some news with y'all. I got my bachelor's, and it wasn't a degree that you would think would get me into the field of biopharma. I'm a career changer. Yes, yes. And very early on, I think I really just, so maybe we can go from there. How did I get a job? How did I get a job? Especially from someone who didn't have some master's or PhD in biophysics or molecular chemistry. You know what I mean? How did I even land a job? Well, I'll tell you one thing. I think I slid in at the right season, first and foremost. I'll just keep it a buck. I'll be real. It was the right season that I tapped in, the right company. And I mean, early on in my job searching careers, I would only apply to maybe a few jobs and I would get it. I would get a job. I'm not talking like some high level jobs, obviously like entry level jobs. And then I remember I was working for the San Diego Health Department as an admin for the treasurer. And I was on a contract. And so I knew there was going to be a time limit. And so I was applying. I was applying, applying. And I was like, wow, this is probably more applications I've ever sent in. And I can't really get a job. And then I also went back to school at the time. And I stumbled across, I was taking, what was I taking? I'm trying to remember if, yeah, I want to say I had, my goodness. Yeah, the internship. So I'm going to school. I'm back in school, right? I'm taking Gen Chem. I'm taking Biochem. I'm taking Bio. And you're like, what? This guy is just now taking those? Yeah, I'll be honest. Like I took other science courses. I've taken calculus. I've taken physics. I took those at uni. And I went back to school at CC. And that, I had my own, preconceived notions about CC just because I went straight to uni out of high school. But coming back around, I actually really enjoyed CC, and I enjoyed it because of the opportunities. It was small scale. You still had PhD professors, high level professors with publications doing have done real research. So when I'm there, I'm around a whole bunch of students, a lot not giving a crap. You know what I mean? A lot not caring, and a lot just going through the motions. But me and maybe other students that I actually linked up with, our professors really liked us because we tapped in with them. We may not have been at every office hours, but we're tapping with them, we're speaking with them, and made sure to go up to every one of my professors and ask about research. Okay, so my bio course, it was an online, it was all online, all virtual, but our TA who was really feeling some of the questions I was asking in our I like held on after the end of one of our courses and just hey, can I tap in and get some research with you? Are you doing any research? And he was like, wow, like people aren't really asking me. Yeah, I am doing some research. I have had some research, but I haven't like got it going yet. I haven't had the team, haven't had the resources. He hadn't done that. When I had approached him about this, it triggered something in him. From then on, I think it wouldn't even be a few months. It was like 2 months. He's like reaching out to other students, other staff, and we get a little crew together to basically start some research. And it was on ecology, invasive species of the green anole, the lizard. It was invasive here in Southern California against the brown lizard, fence lizard. Um, but me just being like, back in school, I'm super motivated. I'm like, been going on, got me like super tapped in. Like I'm gonna be the resource. So any and every opportunity, I'm just jumping on. So I was like, ecology, yeah, I'm down. Not in my mind. I was like, this is what I'm gonna do in 20 years. Ecology. It wasn't about that. It was about like getting research experience, getting in the mix. I mean, I can't stress that enough for you guys. Like, you're just especially if you're coming straight out of high school with nothing on your resume or anything, like you got to get involved. The best way is to get involved with local events, local professors. Even if you're not even going to school, you may even be able to reach out to them, see what opportunities there are. But yeah, so I get that research opportunity. Having that research opportunity, and then so after that, that looks pretty solid on your resume, right? So we got other stuff. I'm trying to when you build your resumes, you want it to be relevant to this new field. So my other resume was related to operational stuff, business operations, administrative stuff, um, yeah, that kind of stuff. So it wasn't really applicable. I didn't want it on my resume, so I had to build that up. And I knew I had to seek out specific opportunities or chances to build up the resume, not fluff, not just add fluff. It had to be real things, real tangible, credible work related to STEM with credible people, right? So like a PhD professor, that's credible. So yeah, I get that research, then I get to a course that really it just made it all just connect. Literally was the course that it's like, okay, this is what I'm doing for my life. This is where I will make my impact. This is where I will tap in, like in like society or history, but on the online world. Right? Me even speaking to y'all right now, I chose to like enter this space, this virtual space, to be around and to talk about biochem, nuclear biology, this kind of stuff. So I took biochem, and it was like everything. I read every day. I was reading the textbook. I have a series going over the textbook. That tells you that I'm willing to go over the textbook again. I loved it. It was so powerful because I had taken plenty of AP courses, and stuff like that in biochemistry before, like high school or not. It was never connected. You know what I mean? And it was never at such a like, yeah, felt really high level. So I'm crushing it. I'm one of the top students in the class. There's maybe like four of us at ace, and I'm acing it. My professor reaches out and is like, "Yo, I have this internship opportunity." Mind you, I want to say like the first couple weeks into the course, I had tapped into her and asked her like, "Hey, I love this biochem. What are you doing in your research? Can I do research with you?" And she was like, "No, I don't do lab research anymore, but there's opportunities around." And she ended up providing me with an internship through CC I was at. Okay, so boom, right there, y'all. That is so huge. You can spend so much time scouring the web. Excuse me, I'm burping, eating bread, coffee, too much. Trying to speak as well. So yeah, so this internship, I would have never found it just searching the web. Not saying there wasn't any link to it, but it wasn't any on a page that would pop up for you right away. So I was like, "Oh, an internship. Let me do that. Do that. Oh, it's paid. Oh, let me do that. Oh, it's biotech internship. I'm in. You got me. It's paid. It was biotech, and it was full time. It wasn't for a really long time, but it was all of those factors, and I was able to check all those boxes off. It was a little difficult though because by that time I had my biotech, my biopharma job as an associate scientist. So I had my job, and I had to request time to do that internship full time. But I knew it was worth it because one, I was still getting paid, and two, I was building up the experience, right, to make it incredible. So it wasn't actually that internship necessarily got me that job, but it kept me around because we had layoffs. We had layoffs, and I was one of the more newer people. Eventually, we had layoffs. Maybe not right away, but so not that that was what got me the job. That's I will say has helped me keep it. right? And I've done other things to help me keep it as well. I've done more research on top of that. Speak with your employers. You know what I mean? You're building your own worth. You're building your own credibility, and you're building your demand. And if you're already in with them, they're like, oh, you're just going to help the business more for them, and they didn't have to pay for your training to get to another tier, right? So research with a professor, then that research and schooling, right? Already having my degree, but also having years of experience and different types of job that may not have been so core STEM related. I wasn't some fresh new booty. You know what I mean? Like there's going to be new grads that graduate with a bachelor's in biophysics or bioengineering, but they don't have any work experience. I had years of experience and roles where I was in charge. I was in charge of operational things like full like oversight, contracts, auditing. I had this type of like skills. So here we got jobs are there where the investment is going to. Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's a big point that I want to get to. So I'll jump right onto that right after this. So yeah, so that's why I think it was that there was opportunity at the time of when I got in, right? So there may have been layoffs or mass onboardings, but I slid in during that time. Like I said, there was layoffs at some point. We had, I think, 2 rounds of them, and they weren't like mass, but we're an international company, so it was visible. And because of that, I saw that I needed to keep going. I needed to keep building because your job's not secure. And one thing I'm really glad, and I think I have a unique insight, is that the job that I had got was service based. So we weren't relying on grants and funding to make our business, right? To have a business, to hire employees. So with some of the ups and downs that we've been experiencing over the past few years, we've been able to kind of like ride through those. And I think anyone that might have not been hired or had a job for like over 6 months, they were let go. But yeah, so research opportunities, schooling, previous leadership skills, proven in a job, not just like at at school, right? So outside of school, and then yeah, building and working, trying to prove myself kind of at my job. And that's take on, learn whatever I can, be in demand, right? And so right now, right, I'm at a job, and I'm like maybe still interested in applying to other places, right? I'm still interested in moving up, getting different experience. So I'm tapping in. I'm looking for other jobs. What am I finding? What am I finding? Crazy, crazy niche requirements, y'all. 5 years toxic chemical handling, like weird requirements. And I'm just like, that's unusual. Like most of the skills that you put on your resume or that they're looking for, you can like go seek that out in a role. Like I'm gonna go seek out hazardous material to like interact with. I don't know. I thought that was a little weird. And it's got me obviously the news is going on and you're hearing about not hopefully that caught us up to a little more recent. I'm trying to move it up. And let's get to this where the investment is, right? So we're seeing fluctuations of funding and defunding. And I mentioned that our job is service based. So there's like a testing aspect. Now, I would say almost all jobs have seasons, right? They all have seasons. As far as like high productivity and low. So I want to say like a year or two ago, year and a half, winter season comes around. That's our slower season. Usually picks up right after the holidays. But this time it doesn't. It doesn't pick up. I'm like, I'm not gonna complain, right? Let me just go get more experience. Let me go do some research and whatnot. And it doesn't really pick up. Maybe we'll have a spurt here of lots of production. And I'm like, what's going on? we're receiving compounds and like biological agents, chemical compounds from all across the nation, all across the world, right? But not everyone that is sending their products to us is making their money or is able to pay for these services because they are offering a service. Does that make sense? They're actually dependent on these grants and funding and investments. You see what I'm saying, Julie? You see what I'm saying? So that has implications on literally everything. Everything. We want to dive into one of those implications. So someone who has a job, I feel it. And that's already like concerning, right? What about the people that don't have? What are they seeing? I mean, it's difficult. It's difficult. So if not everyone is able to receive grants and funding, like universities or certain research companies, we're going to see less employee or less job opportunities. We're going to see less businesses. We're going to see more competition in the job market because people that were either laid off or they're freshly graduated. There's a wide range of people of applicants now, and some are really experienced, and those more experienced people pushed out because of less opportunity means that the lower ladder is going to get more competitive. And then right below it. So you're seeing these hyper qualified people competing for these lower position jobs because there's less money going around, because there's less research going on. Research, money. We be willing to look into other sectors. First, got to survive. Facts. Smaller businesses will be popping up, and yes, they should. Otherwise, it is the giant's monopoly. That that is great. Yes, that is actually great because where are the opportunities? If you catch my last stream, I was looking at some events, and one of the events that we were discussing was, or that's about to come up this week, is the current state of the job market. And some ladies talking on it, and a big thing that they mention in like their description and whatnot is, do you need to be here to get the opportunity? Is the opportunity even here? Here as in the US? That was like, I didn't think about that. Like, I got into this field, I was not like, oh, I need to not be in this type. That might not be the case anymore. Why? Why would that not be the case? Well, it's the same. It's the same old game, right? Cheaper. Where can I get it cheaper? Where can I get it cheaper? Who's willing to do it? Who has the infrastructure? Who has less barriers, right? To facilitate research. US has a lot of barriers. Yes, exactly, exactly, and that's why you see a lot of research in other areas. I mean, another one is India. I see, like, if you type in biochemistry or biotechnology on YouTube, India. India is a big, big, big force in the biotech industry, and absolutely in those areas as well. You see that. You see a shift of, but it's a shift that's like synonymous with pretty much every industry, and so that's a huge concern. And these are big businesses, right? They're big international companies, so their barriers or their boundaries are not just here in the US. Like I said, the company I work for is international. I think they started somewhere in Europe. So it's tough, y'all. It's really tough. But as Julie mentioned, another point, small businesses are going to be popping up. When there's no opportunity, that means you need to create opportunity. Create opportunity that, like the reverse, no, hit the reverse card. So that's something I'm really trying to do as well. That's why I started Live Mushrooms, a food research company specializing in natural products, starting with fungi, mushrooms. Why? Because it creates a food source, but it has implications for medicine and chemical production and agents, um, all sorts of things, right? And then I wanted to evolve to plants and algae. So this isn't just for me to make a side hustle. You know what I mean? If I just wanted a side hustle, I would have, just been yard selling or flipping stuff online. I'm trying to. I'm seeing the problem. I'm genuinely seeing the problem here. I think I posted something on my LinkedIn, and I saw it was because I saw a stat that said there's only about 7% of adults in the U.S. that have a business. Who owns all the other businesses? International. Out. You know what I mean? People that don't live here. And so, as much as you want to like get people might have concerns or feel a way about current things going on, there needs to be some serious changes. And these drastic changes are to push us back to like, yo, we got to do it here. We got to do it here, y'all. We got to do it here. So, what? Let me ask y'all. What type of problems? It's really difficult to talk about this topic too, because what type of problems do you want to solve with biotech and biopharma? And how do those problems situate themselves in the grandeur, international, globalistic scale agenda and all that? Because that's what you're dealing with. You know what I mean? It's so with LabCo, I'll just speak from my point of view. Okay, so with LabCo mushrooms, I'm thinking food security, medicine. Right? I mean, fungi goes even to dyes. It goes to biofuels, microremediation, environmental cleanup. Huge huge range of possibilities with this. Now, I'm only one person though, right? So what has to happen is obviously there has to be pressures, environmental pressures or social pressures that are gonna make this like wake people up. You know what I mean? Because man, if we limit our ideas and our science to only where we can get money and only get investments and grants, then we science and research will always solve problems in a way that may not always be the best. Does that make sense? So you can skin a cat multiple ways, right? Not that I'm skinning cats, but the point being, if I have a health problem, I can tackle this in a variety of ways. I can either work out, I can change what I'm eating, or I can genetically modify organisms and put that into into another organism and manipulate things on a DNA level. You see what I'm saying? Like I can choose different ways to solve problems. So when science is hyper dependent on the funding from big institutions, the three-letter abbreviations, you know what I mean? When they're dependent on that, that's what we're going to see. And we're going to see the same companies, we're going to see the same solutions applied to whatever we see. That's why you see nanotech. That's why you see AI, ML. The things that are getting funding become the answer to everything. And so, does that mean that's the only solution? No, definitely not. Definitely not. But what's it going to take to change that? We have to realize this. We have to realize this, and we have to have people take risks. We have to have people sharing this understanding, and hopefully, this leads to just bigger and bigger teams, right? So maybe y'all don't want to be with lab coat mushrooms, right? Maybe you don't want to tap in and do research with me, but you have your own ideas on what you want to do research on. I'm all for that, and I think we can support each other still. Still, the main thing is citizen science. Like people have to realize their own power, right, and your own autonomy. Yes, there's a nation. Yes, there's all this like togetherness, but at the same time, like we have to do it ourselves. We have to do it ourselves, and we can't be dependent on, man, am I going to get approved for this, $50,000 grant, or can I do some micro experiments, create you know, some hype around what I want? And so that brings me to another thing I was getting at in one of my shows. Trying to trying to get power or use power's power, right? Trying to use our power, which doesn't lie with money. It's not our power. At least that's not mine. I don't. If you're watching, I don't know if that's yours. I don't think it is. But what we have is attention, and these days, attention is everything. That's the goal, right? That's the goal. And so we who have gone through some of this training and education, we may be competing and then realize, you know what, we can actually create something. You know what I mean? We can create something, and we don't have to be dependent on outsider funding. We can shift the flow of attention on what research. So if we don't want to be genetically modifying everything, we shift the hype from that and maybe shift it back to natural products. You know what I'm saying? We can highlight citizen scientists, certain companies that are doing the research we want done. Right? I was at a farmer's market tapping in with a company that does algae research, and they're creating bioreactors and stuff like that. I'm like, yep, create a full system where we have organisms that take O2, take in O2, release CO2, and vice versa. Full systems, and so there's so much opportunity for us to create legitimate counter institutions that direct research in ways that are safer and more friendly to the consumer as far as what they consume daily, from price range to side effects. So, citizen science, us taking the risk and and using the power that we have as far as attention and supporting, our own communities that we prefer. So here we have human world is suffering from mediocrity, but still a lot of scope in clean waste management and healthy tech. Inside the Top Tier Research Institute. Hmm. Top tier research institutes like Scripps, Kaiser, UCSD, Berkeley, UCF. I'll tell you what, they're doing some scary research there. Scary, frightening, recombinant research, frightening. They're handing out money though. Can we bring back to the jobs? They're handing out money. I'm talking like They're not requiring PhDs and they're offering 45 an hour. That's good money. But you got to be doing some sketch stuff. Sketch. I think some good opportunities. I might be jumping around a little bit, but I think some. Can we talk about like what problems should we be solving, and how should we be solving them? Right. I think you brought up a good one, and it kind of builds on some of the power of what fungi can do. Waste management. You know what I mean? Like if you look up side hustles, everything's about cleaning. Like you can clean dumpsters or streets and doing that. Biotech, biopharma has opportunity for waste management for cleanup. We could be breaking down certain plastics using fungi, mycelium. That's business opportunities, and that's what I want to like kind of create like this like branch that can extend to all these areas and to tap in. And just because you know, so okay, so what's another example? Sometimes the research that is done has negative implications and positive implications, right? So it's really important for us to highlight the good and point out the bad. Right? That was like my take with the CRISPR. There's good tech and bad tech, good ways to use it and bad ways to use it. Yes, yes. Money and funding in the wrong hands. That's right. And it's sad that it's the money that's really driving the research. But I mean, even if we think about it on our scale, as us, we're literally reaching out to these companies, asking for jobs like, hey, hire me. I'll do what you want me to do because we see our situation. We're desperate ourselves. And I'm not saying I'm any better. I'm just saying, dang, like it's deep. It's deeper than you know what I mean? It's not just like one person over here giving another person some money. The consequences, the downstream effect is a dependence on that same system unless we shift the eyes, shift the attention, shift what people want to spend money on. It's tough, man. It's really tough. I mentioned in my other stream, talking systems, talking jobs, money, education. It's this huge like system going on. You know what I mean? And when anything is related to money, you need to kind of track where the money is and how it's coming back around, right? And it's usually not coming back around back into that person's paycheck. And so we're talking return on investment. Why are we seeing cuts in money? Are people not getting sick anymore? Are people suddenly healthy? I don't think so. I don't think so. But how can we track that return on investment? Like take ourselves out of being at the end of the trickle down effect. Think about the money players. How are they going to get their money back? What are they doing? How are they seeing this investment? And how about from a nation's perspective? They're probably giving these three-letter institutions the money. That divvy it up for different research projects. How do they see that return on investment? And I referenced one of these like university higher ups, and it talks about how when you're putting money into research, you're doing something far into the future, and the consequences of stopping that may not be felt to the full extent right away. So we're feeling it downstream, right? Less budget cuts, less research opportunities, less PhD professors, less PhD teams for them to do research, and less jobs for us. And now we're all like sitting around like, what the heck? For them, usually that money would come back as educated people in the workforce going to go work for companies. Hopefully, though, starting their own companies here. What happens? People not from the US, or maybe they are from the US, leave, take the knowledge, take the investment that was made here, and move the fruits of it to elsewhere. And I'm not hating. I'm just saying that's a problem because you want it to stay within the US, but we're not seeing that. People are starting businesses outside, elsewhere, India, Africa. It's it's tough, y'all. It's tough. I'm trying to. It's like try to when you really try to dive into this kind of stuff and you try to think about it from all the perspectives of the people that are involved, and not just us who are like, "Dang, I need a job." You know what I mean? Like it's way more nuanced than that. But that's not to say we don't have power. Like I mentioned, we shift the attention. We can start stuff ourselves, right? When I was going through, as I mentioned in CC, and I'm seeing the range of students that are there. Some people are just passively there. Some people are not trying. Some people are waiting till they get to university to try. But we were still doing stuff that is done in industry and that is done for a business or serves as an opportunity to create a business. So we're getting experience with these high level equipment. We're doing, bioassays, we're using bioanalytical equipment, NMR, different spectroscopies. It's like, yo, you've been granted this stuff, this knowledge. You have to see it as an opportunity to create something, to have that vision. Otherwise, you're just marching on the road, and that road is going to take you not where you want, not where you thought it was going to take you. Because as we see, that system is flowing out right out of the US, right out of our hands, that opportunity. So much competition. So much competition. Who's taking the risk? Who's going to take a risk? Who is going to take a risk, y'all? That is a real question. Let me see my notes. So, don't we all love that entry level paradox? Don't we love it? You're like, yo, I'm in school all these years. I'm making sure to do research. I'm making sure to get some volunteer experience. I'm in the lab. I'm doing stuff. Why does that not count as experience? Because they want you to come out of uni with entry level experience of 5 years of experience outside of school. It doesn't make any sense. So I know y'all have seen some of those roles and ads, y'all. I know some of the ways in biotech how they get why are one product they can sell in very high price, absolutely, or they want mass market products out of research or license something with IP rights, Nobody doing charity. Even Musk is broke. Oh, is that right? Granted, when you're at Musk level, it's not really about money. It's more like just like, do I have the workforce? Like, he's just ordering. He's just making orders, and there's no cap for that guy. I don't think. But yeah, that's interesting. As far as one product they can sell at a high price to limited folks. Well, I think. Hmm, let me sip to that. Let me sip to that. I got y'all coffee. I got some Lion's Mane coffee going right here. True. Nobody's doing charity work though, and I don't think anybody should be doing charity work. I think we need to do work that has societal value, right? Not just value that's for that company or for that upper echelon of agenda writers. Right? We got all this robotic tech coming around. Where's my robot to do dishes? Where's my robot to do the simple stuff? You know what I mean? I don't need a robot with the exact facial expressions that can do that what I can do. You know what I mean? I don't need it to do that. Wash my dishes, please. Please. Please, I'm begging you. Allow research to be able to speak out with the truth and facts. Ooh, stop covering up what is going on and keep humanity live longer without and suffering. Absolutely. Absolutely. But as we know, when it comes to biotech and biopharma, these are businesses. First and foremost, it's a business. It's about making money. So if we create the cure, we lose the business. So there's just a fundamental irony, a paradox written into the whole premise of business and health. And not to say that I'm like not walking that rope too, but what side do you wave? Which side do you put more weight on? Cheaper, quicker research? Can I CRISPR everything? Or do you have to take low doses of a natural medicine for a while, for a long time? I think a lot of people know health. A lot of people know what healthy is, but they, for all the reasons we could go over and debate, but are looking for that one pill, that one little, this will solve it completely instantly. That's probably ingrained in us. I'm not saying that's everyone's just innate nature, but boy, is it just like rampant in society. Like solutions need to be in a pill. People want their medicine in an extract form. We're distracted, y'all. We're not sitting with our problems long enough to solve them, it seems. Just get swept on to the next. Real tough. Real tough. So when y'all are applying for jobs, where are y'all looking at? You're looking to get to academia, into industry. What cities are y'all looking at? You're trying to stay local. Are y'all open to moving around? Because the way I'm seeing it, I feel like SoCal was definitely a big pioneer in biotech, right? Biopharma. But now I'm seeing some jobs in Utah, Texas, obviously San Fran. Roles that are actually hiring. What are the actual roles? So what kind of job needs to be done? This is a good point. What kind of jobs need to be done in this modern age when what do we have? You mentioned Musk, I mentioned robots. We're seeing a new age of automation sweep through AI and ML, but not just on a virtual task in physical world with robotics, liquid handling. I mean, that's one of my main jobs, liquid handling and robotics, programming and operating liquid handling and robotic machinery for this type of stuff. You know what I mean? Nano droplets and working with super small amounts of liquid. That whole wave is another force impacting jobs. It's not just where's the funding. It's deeper than that. The technology that we're in modern day has gotten so advanced. We're streamlining processes. We're eliminating the need for different people in homes. Plugging my battery, my charger, leading to companies that may be big, but with fewer employees. If you check out my Instagram, Lab Coat Mushrooms, I presented my research at the ACS convention 2025 in San Diego. And after we gave our demos of our research, we were able to tour some of the booths for the big companies. And one of the booths had a full automated lab the size of a workbench, like right here. It could fit in this space right here, over here to here, right? From the bioreactor to the HPLC attachment to the UV vis analysis, all right there on the lab bench. I don't need 5 employees when I got that all right there, and I can automate it with a screen. You know what I mean? I'll put the data into a nice format, have it parsed, load that into a model, make whatever predictions I need. It's dude, that's a huge point when it comes to this. So it's literally not just the funding. You know what I mean? Where's the money? That's important too. The money's not going into people. People people are they fluctuate. You know what I mean? Their mood changes. Meanwhile, a robot can just do the same thing consistently without complaining, without getting sick, without missing a day. Any knowledge you have about neuroscience slash tech? Latest research. Latest research on neuroscience. I think in my last stream we were talking about some stuff. What were we talking about? What were we talking about? But I think that's that's something that can be in my next Science News podcast episode. I can definitely include some research on neuroscience. I think that would be quite interesting for people, for sure. For sure. I'm trying to see. I feel like I had a page that was keeping track of some stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Or it was just one of the events I signed up for. CMC. It was like an event. SSH, HIV. Ooh. Okay, so this was the Biotech Network virtual speed panel. One of those right after, I think. Dang. I can't find it. Dang. Yeah, I can't find it. But how about we go check out while I have y'all with me? Do y'all want to check out some research on the ACS page? I have access to paywall applications, which I can't necessarily show you beyond the abstract. I can show you what is public, but we can definitely tap into some neuroscience tech and some research. Definitely open to that. Definitely open to that. Oh yeah, you know what we were talking about? Honestly, I don't know if we can, being honest, because something in my last stream got me shadow banned for however many days. Because we were in that stream, we were talking about some neuroscience and a panel that was coming up, and for some reason I got shadow banned. I don't exactly know, but I will say we were talking about AAVs, and if you know what that is, you know what's funny? After I got freaking shadow banned, I reached out to YouTube and they never replied. Just a few days later, they reinstate some of my abilities, my controls. I was like, what part of the content was not appropriate, or so I'm trying to make sure I follow the guidelines, and no reply. But that's why sometimes I'm hesitant on covering certain depths of science. But you know, as it pertains to just research, YouTube should not have a problem with us discussing AAVs and the future of that as it pertains to neuroscience. No, I like really want. I'm gonna know it. I really want to find that. Dang, I really want to find. Okay, here we go. Pharma ready. I mean, this is it. A gene therapy workshop. Let me see if I can open this up for y'all. If I get shadow banned again, oh well. It happens. It happens. We were talking about one of those big research institutions. UCSD is one of them. Vector optimization, pharma ready gene therapy workshop, networking hour. I think this was the one. So let me just type in that. And then I'll share this page. Last time I shared a page during a stream, the whole screen went black every time for like 30 seconds. I'm pretty sure they were trying to check to see if my screen was okay. So if that happens again, y'all, that's just a forewarning. This isn't the page though. I'm trying to get some page. I guess there was an Eventbrite page. Because I know it's going to black out. I'll try this, so bear with me. Optimization. Interesting. For some reason, they're not letting me find this. Okay. What? What? Okay. Well, that's interesting. I'll just show this because this is about all I can show you. What the heck? I had the whole. That is so weird, guys. What if I do this? Yeah, it's like it's gone. Overview. Boom. Okay. I will share my screen. Let me exit. And now share the screen. Sorry that share screen. Just because I know it's probably going to go black. Share the screen. Can y'all see that? Yes, I went black. I was there. Hey, that was not that long. What's AAP? That you should research because I don't know. You know what? I'm about to say it right here. I don't care. I'm about to say it because I'm reading it. No, I do care. I don't want to get in trouble, but I shouldn't get in trouble for just talking about research. But I'll be honest. So, wow, this doesn't. The heck? It doesn't say anything about it. What the heck? Wow. Okay, let me check this. Basically, can we look at nature? Is that legal? Can we look at a public website? That should be okay, right? That should be okay. Should be able to look at it. Let me show you this. So this was what I'm sharing here is it's literally not even what I'm clicking. What in the world? That's why it's not right. Okay, sorry about that. We'll just go to here and instead. Exit out of that. Can I show you guys this? Is this okay? Is this okay? Can y'all see? So, viral tools for neuroscience. We're talking about it. You brought it up. You brought it up. If I can't stream tomorrow, it's all you. We're talking combination, y'all. AAV, AAV, adeno-associated virus. Now, what is this? What is the big deal about this? Well, let's just read this abstract. Whether one would like to understand a neuron's morphology, natural activity patterns, molecular composition, connectivity, or behavioral and physiologic function, most studies begin with the injection of an engineered virus, often an adeno-associated virus or herpes simplex virus, among many other types. Recombinant viruses currently enable some combination of cell type specific, circuit selective, activity dependent, and spatiotemporally resolved transgene expression. Hope y'all didn't just get lost in a sauce with all that. Basically, we know what a virus is made up is more simple. We can rework what that does, and we use that as a vector, basically. And a vector being the transportation method to integrate that into another system, So, why would that be relevant to neuroscience? Well, simply put, AAV and tropism, if you put AAV together, tropism, and neurons, you start to unlock some really interesting technology, science approaches that may just sound impressive or it'll literally make you crap your pants. And the latter is usually what it makes me want to do. But yeah, sketch. I mean, anything with recombination. So if you don't know what recombination is, basically we just reworking some genes. We're playing with the genes. I mentioned it before. We're in this zeitgeist where every solution, everything we're thinking about is like from the DNA scale level. Like we're just so gung ho on changing things on that level that seems to be the only solution to health problems. So when you have AAVs and tropism being just the ability to influence, cause a reaction, control, it's basically like a control mechanism. So if I could use AAV as a programmable vector, and I know its inherent tropic effects as far as its ability to influence or Yeah, basically influence. Like think of phototropism, like moving towards light. That's an induced movement, right? It was induced by the light. So the AAV induced tropism, neurons. That's your brain. Do you see where it starts to get like, ooh, ooh. You get what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying? I know it might seem like I'm just like walking the thin line talking like this, but just I don't know the extent that we can dive. Like I can't. If we were on Rumble right about now, I'd probably just go home. I'd probably just go, "Ah, ah, ah, ah." But right now we're on YouTube, so right now we're gonna keep it within the domain of what we see and advantageous properties of engineered viruses. Thus enable characterization of neuronal function at unprecedented resolution. So if you can characterize function, what comes after characterizing something? Manipulation. Manipulation comes next. So once you can characterize a neuronal function, I can then manipulate neuronal function using engineered viruses. Just leave it at that. I mean, that's just possibilities we're talking. We'll just call it hypotheticals. I'm not saying it's going on. I'm playing a character right now. Allegedly, allegedly, allegedly. Okay? Allegedly, allegedly. We got some disadvantages though. That's for sure. That's for sure. And yeah, there you go. That's like the big window right there. See that? See that? That's the window. That's the window that you're entering when utilizing AAs. So moving on. Thank you for bringing that one up. I'm glad you actually brought that up because people just don't know. They just don't know. And we mentioned it in our last stream, so it's what it is. But yeah, there's some interesting work going on in that area. Phage might be another term that you want to look up. Phage. And yeah, it's just utilizing different organisms or means as a vector to bring in your program, bring in your manipulation that you want. So, as you know, neuroscience, neurons, brain, nervous system, all that kind of stuff. I don't spend a lot of time in that domain because of how I don't know what to say about that. I don't know what to say about that. It's an interesting field, I'll tell you that. It's extremely interesting. It is so interesting, but it's also so scary. It's also so scary. Um, maybe I can find, but yeah, since you brought that up, I will include some more neuroscience research in the next Science News podcast. So definitely bring that one up. Definitely bring that one up. So geographical hotspots where the biotech hubs really are in 2025. We kind of touched on that. We kind of touched on how like it started off in SoCal. Now we're seeing some work, right? We're seeing some opportunities in Utah, Texas, and most definitely outside of the U.S. That has to be pointed out. That has to be pointed out. Oh, wow. We almost out of coffee. Get y'all coffee. Be sure to drop whatever research y'all want to hear in the podcast as well. Anybody else, I'll be sure to include any of the latest research I can find on that. Not always has to be scary or anything like that. It can be super cool, super, innocent. Doesn't matter. But this is a good opportunity for us to highlight the kind of research we want. It doesn't always have to be fear based. It doesn't always have to be exposing agendas and stuff like that. Like again, like we mentioned, this is our opportunity to use the power that we do have, which may not be fun money, but it is attention. So we can put attention on the right research. Maybe I'll do that. We'll include some sketch research that we want to just be aware of, and then maybe some hopeful and inspiring research. And we'll keep that. I'll try to be more consistent with it as well, just because I'm using AI and ML for that kind of stuff. So I can't do it. I think it'll help if you guys send me research as well, and that way you don't have to necessarily digest it all yourself. You can send it to the model. What else we got? Is there a good scope and research from job perspective these days? Good scope of research. Hmm. Good scope of research. That's the thing. I feel like maybe less about. I guess it is related to fields, but I think first and foremost, it should be just experience that you want to get with certain techniques. Then you can dive into the more specific field types, right? Because I do know it's important to hit the specific field, right? So like oligonucleotides or what else? You know, RNA recombination. Those, recombinant DNA. Okay, so let me start with this. I would say, as far as like techniques, things to get like specific things to go get experience with. You want to get tissue culture. Now, I have bacterial and fungal tissue culture experience. I'm about to be exploring, plant tissue culture, but I only have conceptual knowledge of mammalian tissue culture experience. And it's not that I can't get that experience right now. I don't know how I feel about it. You know what I mean? But I can go get it. But that's huge. That's like on everything. So mammalian tissue culture, uh, it's pretty hard to. It may not be hard, but it's pretty exclusive. Um, what's the correct term for this? Animal husbandry experience. I think that's the language they use. Animal husbandry. But basically, you need experience with rodents, and the experience ranges from you know feeding, cleaning their cages, and maintaining them to surgical procedures on them. Right. So it's a wide range, but having that animal husbandry experience is very notable and it definitely stands out as far as. But and the reason why I don't have certain experience is because it goes on to what your the next part as far as the scope of the research. What kind of research are you doing if you're requiring to do surgery on rodents? What research are you doing? I had a homie who came out of UCI, he was one of the top science majors, um, and he basically left the field, right? Dove more into music um, and teaching. He's super brilliant. But I asked him, I was like, why aren't you doing research? Like, this was like when I was like trying to get any research opportunity, you know what I mean? Like, until ecology, I ended up doing organometallic synthesis, synthetic chemistry research. He was like, I just don't want to. He literally said, I can't take, I can't do. I don't. He said I don't feel good giving these animals cancer on purpose. That that was like that opened up my eyes as far as like you don't want to just go get any type of experience because what are you going to go use that experience to go do? You know what I mean? If you got a bunch of CRISPR experience, what are you going to? If you got a bunch of recombinant DNA experience, what are you going to be doing? You're going to be recombinant DNA. You know what I mean? You're going to be making chimeras. You're going to be making just synthetic biology. You know what I mean? Synthetic chemistry. I did synthetic chemistry. Those words can be kind of a misleading or elusive, but they kind of show the range of how like crazy just synthesizing things, mixing some. do engineering things in life, and it gets pretty intense. But yeah, so we have mammalian tissue culture, or just tissue culture experience. I would say work on like and bacterial and plant tissue culture. It's safer usually. Plant tissue culture start to work with hormones, and that can get really dangerous because you like cross blood-brain barriers sometimes. So not always the best, but those two, if you can get any animal husbandry experience, and that one, yeah, that one, it's why would you have that experience? You're pretty much going to be giving and treating rodents, right? You know what I mean? Like you're going to basically be giving them cancer, or giving them some type of harmful substance, and seeing how they react. You know what I mean? So, however you can handle that, maybe you're okay with that. Maybe it's all for the sake of science. You know what I mean? What else is there? HPLC, high performance or high pressure liquid chromatography, massive. I can't stress how much that's like on every job post. HPLC, HPLC, UPLC. I think that's another one as well. So yeah, so definitely that's another one. Obviously, what goes in tandem or goes hand in hand with HPLC, you're going to be looking at LCMS, GCMS, right? Liquid chromatography, gas chromatography, mass spectrometry. And one thing I will give a note, since we're already on this topic, and something that I found really useful when you're going into these interviews, you're discussing this analytical experience that you might have, or experience with certain machinery. Know the machinery, know the names of the machines that you use, models, know the software, right? So if you like working with Thermo Fisher, you need to know the chameleon software. You know what I mean? Or if you're doing like on an NMR, like a Mestranova, you need to know these things because you'll be asked that. And then I've gone through so many rounds of interviews, and they love that. They love to see that. And I've been asked multiple times, so you're ready. And honestly, I've even had it on a piece of paper before, and I could just pull it. So it wasn't that. As long as you know that you worked on certain things and you can reference it, yeah, I would do that. And if you don't remember the machine, try to go back, find it. Like I went back to my school and like saw the machine, spoke to my professor. Maybe you can look it up online. But yeah, know what kind, know the size of the machine. I was working on I think it was like a 90 megahertz NMR machine, um, Masternova software. You know what I mean? Things like that. So that's really, and so yeah, those are the big ones. What else? So yeah, those techniques I've seen as the most cytometry. I mean, just go do one search right now, y'all. Just go do one search, and y'all will see literally everything I'm saying right now. HPLC, LCMS, GCMS, freaking mammalian tissue culture, uh, yeah, animal husbandry, um, or rodent experience, DNA, RNA, protein purification, that kind of stuff. Let's see. Honestly, if you take like a intro biotechnology course, like I guess I'm teaching that, but they cover a lot of those topics. You may not be able to work on all those machines, but you should be able to get access to it. You know what I mean? Like once I circled back around to my department, I found out that they had flow cytometry, um, and I don't think they had HPLC. They might have. But yeah, I literally told my professor, I was like, why are we not focusing on this? Like, we're still doing NMR. Like, dude, most of the NMRs for most substances have been done and they're uploaded in databases. So I'm not saying you don't need that skill. You shouldn't be working on that. Like, that's a big, it's very important, especially when you're coming across novel compounds. Right? You have to characterize them some way, so you use something like NMR. But LCMS, go get that. HPLC, go get that. Flow cytometry, go get that. Number, those are literally the top ones. You have those, I can't guarantee a job. I mean, we're all aware of how crazy it is right now. Yeah, those are in demand 100%. I would show you it, but I feel like I get automatic log in. So I'm burn myself out. And some of these websites, they require you to log in. So let's see if I can just see if we can scour the old web right here. Hop onto Indeed. I'm gonna type in scientist jobs, scientist spell, and I am human. Yes, I am. So it's just loading. All right, so I think I can share this now. Share screen. How's that look for y'all? So, as you can see, I just typed in scientists in LA. And let's lower this post it to the last week, this past week. What kind of jobs are we seeing? CLS, CR, CLS, CL. That's the next thing I'll say, right? So I was naming some techniques and all that. If you want maybe a field or something like that, clinic, clinical. And by clinical, you're just working with patients or it's in the focus of patients. Okay. Now, this may be a barrier for some people if you can't get clinical experience or interactions with patients because of something you may or may not have taken. It can be hard to get clinical experience or be around patients, but it seems to always be in demand. Clinical research. And those are the things you got to get licensed for. You got to get a CLS license, CRC, right? You got to get a license for that. But here we have a chemist. A chemist, 65K to 75K. That's you want that, right? What do we require? Bachelor's degree. Okay, you can work with that. You can work with that. You see that description though. You see that description. So, position responsible for performing various laboratory tests to determine chemical and physical characteristics or composition. Here we go, right here. Wet chemistry and basic use of instrumentation such as gas chromatography, high pressure liquid chromatography. Number one stuff, y'all. Literally, just go get that stuff. Go get. Don't do anything else. Don't even go to get a degree. Just go get experience with that, and you'll find something. No, just kidding. I can't promise you that. Something else you want on your resume is GMP, GLP. These stand for good laboratory practices, good manufacturing practices, and you get that usually just through a job, or maybe an internship. That was where I first got my GMP, GLP experience, and then my current job is a site that operates under those procedures. Really, it's just like a standardized form. And yeah, here we see it again, right? Gas chromatography, high pressure chromatography, pH spectrophotometers. Not so much those, but you'll see it. Everyone uses centrifuges and pipettes. Standard-ish, you know what I mean? Standard. But the things you don't that will like keywords, SEO optimized, like search engine optimized words that these AI machine learning models are filtering resumes out with. You need keywords, gas chromatography, high HPLC, keywords that will either your resume gets kicked out or it won't even get seen or it gets put in the people look at it. GMP, GLP, GP. Those are keywords. And sometimes you need like so many keywords to go into the all right, we'll look at your stuff now. So and that's more of the focus, right? Having those experience with those techniques and skills. And then you can go into any type of field that is requiring that. So maybe you're just drug testing, or maybe you're doing some recombinant DNA. Most labs are going to be utilizing this. You know what I mean? So focus on that stuff. Focus on that. See what it asks for. It asks for a bachelor's degree from an accredited four-year college. Now, here's one thing that's like hit or miss. They might say in chemistry or in a specific field. Like I told y'all, I didn't have it in a relevant field, I'll tell you that. But when you have a multitude of different experiences that demonstrate that same dedication and hopefully longevity, it counts. It totally counts. So bachelor's plus 2 to 4 years, or a master's with 0 to 2. You know, take that as you will. Honestly, one thing I heard watching some videos when it comes to and even reading comments, like I mentioned, like India is big on biotech, biochem. Their standard for getting stuff is masters. So look at what you're already competing against. Not only is it cheaper to go do it, get the work done in India, but these people are well educated, have master's degrees. And that's why it's harder, y'all. That's why it's harder to get a job here. But yeah, that's what we're seeing. So go get those key skills. And I mean, look at what we're seeing: principal, senior, manager, top levels. We're not seeing entry levels, y'all. The entry level world is gone. The reason is because it's all automated. All the entry level stuff is automated, at least to the extent that it can be done or streamlined using spreadsheets, templates, or AI/ML can automate it, robotic handling, these types of things that make the work more feasible to perhaps maybe not the most amount of people, but to people that are very in it. So this is what we're seeing, y'all. It's tough out here because who's who would get this kind of role? A senior role. Okay, this is a research analyst. This is in video game tech. This isn't even in science. Research analyst it can be, but I mean, product development coordinator, QC senior chemist. Right? Everything's a senior role. Boom. HPLC MS, GCMS, IRUV, TOC, TLC. Well, look, it's not really asking for a specific field. It just wants you to have that kind of experience. So I would focus on that. And if you have a specific field that you're interested in, then you go apply for those ones. Because how you get your experience is, what makes you unique, right? And if you want to enjoy yourself, go do it. Go do that stuff doing in a field that you want and feel good about. And hopefully it's safe, right? So one thing we have to remember, we're working in STEM, y'all. This isn't like your regular jobs, you know what I mean? It may not feel like you're on some like oil rig and it's super big 1,000-pound machines waving around you and it's dangerous like that. But man, what we're exposed to, chemical wise, the biological agents, I mean, sketch stuff, really sketch. So be aware, y'all. Be aware. Go seek out experiences, but do it with intent. Do it with intent. I can, without being signed in, I can only do one page. But as you see, that was just in the last week. This is all that is come out for scientists in all of LA. Can you believe that? All of LA in 1 week. We did CLS. Shout out to y'all. Maybe that's the next week, right? Look at this pay, 53 to 71. I mean, we're talking freaking PAs, you know what I mean? Physician assistants. But it can 175K if you're working on nanoparticles. See, this brings us back to what kind of research the money goes to. You can tap into wages like this, 140 plus 175K. If you're doing research on nanoparticles. If y'all are interested in nanotech, from wearables to biosensors and biomarkers, I don't know if those were keywords that are going to get me banned. I'll be honest, hopefully not. But if we're talking fields that are getting money, nanotech is obviously getting money. They've been getting money. I think that was on the most watched, most dangerous like technologies of the future, this was probably like 10 years ago, maybe even more. Nanotech, still on the labs. So, yeah, y'all. That's this CLS. What do you need for that? College experience. See what I'm saying? So, qualifications for these are it's that license. So let's see if it has bachelor's in a relevant field, experience in clinical research. It's just desired. It's just desired. Interesting. Probably the first. Oh, there it is. There it is. Clinical research coordinator for 3 years and a year of oncology. Tell you what, the future. I mean, a good way to think about the field, if you're interested, what is the demand? Try to think or speculate on the problems that we might see if we're keeping it in the realm of health and wellness and biotech biopharma. What type of problems we're predicting to see? Anything related to antibacterial resistance, oncology or cancer, and anything related to RNA, DNA, viruses, um, which is pretty hard to get sometimes because, I mean, let's face it, you're probably not getting a lot of citizen scientists working on viruses. At least I don't even know if that's legal. So it's tough. Um, if you're struggling to get some experience, obviously reach out to or apply to jobs and whatnot. Go back to schools in your local community, whether state, uni, CC, preferably. It's usually cheaper, free potentially for you, and go see if you can tap in with them. And at worst, if you can't and you still know that this is like your calling, find within yourself the confidence and maturity to take on the risk or the I don't know the put the uniform on, put the lab coat on at home, become a citizen scientist, and when you do that, you'll be surprised about how geeked you'll get on some of this stuff and the speed at which you'll grow and learn stuff when you're super dedicated and you do it yourself. So for me, like the whole world of fungal metabolism and secondary metabolites and natural products, biopharma, like I can geek on that kind of stuff. I can really geek. And when you're not bound to the pace of maybe a certain school or something like that, it's just you can make moves a lot faster. You make a lot of moves. But yeah, as we see within the last week, y'all, we're talking all of LA and we see what 10 jobs and none of them even only a few say scientists in it. As it pertains to scientists, what happened to all the scientists 1, 2, 3 roles? You know what I mean? You don't even see associate scientists on here. You're literally seeing principal, top level roles. So just rolling up and down. Tough, tough, tough. I believe in you though. I honestly believe in y'all. I think although this is what we're seeing, I don't think things will stay this way. And I don't think that because the job market works in like waves. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's down, sometimes it's up. So the best thing y'all can do is continue learning, gaining skills, get as many certifications and whatnot as you can. Learn some of the stuff that maybe not be so hyper relevant, or at least that it seems, but also dive into the hyper niche stuff. Keep learning, get some AI, ML experience, I mean, some programming experience. Work with data sets and different file types, um, and just keep growing, keep learning, and try to. I hate that it's really just got to keep playing the game, but try to do things in tandem, right? Keep applying, think entrepreneur like at the same time, keep gaining skills. You really have to do everything all at once to stay competitive these days. It's hard, it's tough, but you can do it. Definitely, you can definitely do that. Is there an oversaturation of grads? Hmm. Is there an oversaturation? I'll tell you what, I'm not seeing a bunch of them. But I will say, I actually heard from my professor that he heard it from one of his colleagues, works closely to admissions and stuff, that those budget cuts that we saw didn't just have implications on the job market, it had implications on literally enrollment and admissions. So there's articles out there, you can find it, top colleges really cut their admissions amounts drastically because there isn't enough funding to pay those PhD professors to even offer those teams of candidates and to work under them. So, I didn't get into I'll be honest, I'll keep it real. I didn't get into the PhD program I applied to. I didn't. And when I shared that news to my professor, who had wrote a letter of rec with me, a letter of rec for me, he shared that. He was like, wow, this is someone who thinks very highly of me and has seen my work, my research, my rigor, taught me organic chemistry too. One and two, like I was in like lab and lecture and then labs with him. And he knows my worth. And he's just like, wow. But he kind of just shook his head and was like, yeah, it's because of the cuts. So you may be very relevant. You may have lots of relevant skills. You may have relevant experience, good experience. You may be very competitive, but we're seeing an oversaturation. No doubt about it. Not only that, it's an oversaturation while also having a deprecation of opportunity or a deficit of opportunities in the sense that they've been replaced with automation. It's been replaced with robotics. It's been replaced with AI, machine learning. It's been replaced by these people with higher qualifications now pushed out of their roles because there's fewer, and now they're in the tier of which maybe less qualified candidates would normally be applying at. So we're getting these unrealistic job descriptions and unrealistic requirements. And you may not even be getting looked at because of the AI, machine learning algorithms, and the mass applications being sent in. It's tough, y'all. I honestly, I don't. It'll probably be hard to do this because there's lots of security at these big facilities, and but we might be seeing a revert back to delivering your resume in person. You know what I mean? It might come back to more like networking a lot more because how else would you filter out all these mass applicants that have all the exact requirements of experience that you're asking for? At that point, it just comes down to are you cool? Are you chill? Can you connect with the people who we work with? Do you fit the vibe? You know what I mean? The best way to get those employees are through connections, like anyone. So we may see that reversion back to that, and maybe that's your chance to go do that. I personally haven't gone up to like a biotech biopharma resume. Excuse me, but I wouldn't be surprised if that would work. I'll be honest. I would not be surprised. Would not be surprised. Almost out of coffee, y'all. Well, while we got the stream going, I was thinking about like calling the stream right here, but I need to make some videos. So I think we'll just dive right into that. So We said we needed to make this science news podcast. I think we're on episode what, 5? We need to do a biotech or a biochem review. The next chapter. We're still on freaking water, but we're gonna just breeze through the rest of that, and we're gonna jump into I think next is the classes, and then proteins, and then biotechnology. Oh, it's gonna get so good once we get past where we're at Biochem series. And what else is there? We haven't touched on any new research when it comes to co-culturing or co-culture research. So we got some things to do, and I've been trying to get over. I want to hit like 3-hour mark consistently as far as the streams go. So my energy isn't waning either. So I think we're good. I think we'll just jump into finding some research for the next Science News podcast. All right, y'all? All right. So if you don't know, we do a little series on here where I find some research relevant or super new or not, it just depends. But research, and I feed it to my ML model, AI model, and it generates a podcast for me that allows us to digest this research in just a more digestible way, more consumable way. And the topics range, and I try to include stuff that maybe like more introductory, but also we get to some high level stuff, and some hot takes come out of it as well. Then I post that, and I try to react to that as well on another stream. Sometimes the streams don't work, and I might have to do it on like shadow banned. It's happened plenty of times. If you go like look at my posts, I pretty much do a post every time I'm shadow banned or banned. But yeah, so instead of maybe diving into more research, another thing I've been trying to do is find events. So I touched on it in my last stream, but it builds on our power. Right, our power isn't necessarily with money; it's with attention. And if we can come together for certain events, like I gave it this example. You have these people on YouTube or whatnot, these content creators that will provide streams and consistent content because they're tapping in at moments or events for people that people like synchronize in. I mean, like live events, games, matches. We need that. We need that over here, y'all. We need biotech, biopharma, science-based events for us to synchronize with and to come together and collaborate with. My Science News podcast, I need to be consistent more so we can have that to tap into every time. But another thing is finding these like virtual or even like in-person conferences for us to discuss. And one of them that's coming up is the vector optimization at UCSD. Another one is the jobs in biotech biopharma. That one's a virtual event, and we discussed it in our last stream, so you can go check that one out. And so we need to find more of those, right? So once we find more of those events, I'll just keep bringing it up right here, so we have something to tap into together. Have that synchronization. You know what I'm saying? So, but in the meantime, let's go to our research websites. So I think we can, let's start with ACS. So we have ACS. Some of these I can't plug into my model, so I don't know why I have. I think this is allowed. So let me pull up my model. And I won't sign into my ACS. That way we can check out the publication. So yeah, we'll read the abstract together. Like, this might be cool. And some of the publications are public. So I guess I can't really plug it into my model if it's ACS. Okay. Let's see. So someone mentioned neuroscience. Let's see if we can find that topic. Can I share this screen? Share screen. Don't ban me. Don't ban me. All right, so right now we're on Sci News. Sci News. Yo, on top of that, like, how cool would it be for us to, like, I don't know, I'm big on the MMA world, and like they always have like news. We need some like science news media. You know what I mean? That's what we're trying to create. We're trying to generate the science news media. And when we become media, we have the power. We control the topics. We control the attention. We have the power. Shout out MMA Guru. So, yeah, we're just going to tap into some. It really didn't have any. Yeah, this is okay. This is the topics. Okay. Ooh, scientists identify a mechanism that governs interaction between perceptual and memory neural systems. Sounds interesting, y'all. Researchers create comprehensive map of mouse brain. Wow. You see how some of this isn't like completely recent, like 2024, 2023 down here. Biofluorescence in fishes. Okay, here we go. Biology. So I typed in neuroscience. See, this is the latest one we have. Auricular muscles scientists thought we didn't use actually activate when we listen hard. Yo, what happened to the idea that if you don't use it, you lose it? Why would we think it's not relevant or needed? Neuroscientists identify 16 neuronal types involved in human sense of touch. This was 2024. Regular caffeine consumption, decode Etruscan shrew genome. I don't know what that is. I don't like how like not recent this is. Anything good on this? If it looks interesting, that's the great thing about this. Like, we're gonna feed it to the model, so like we don't have to like read the entire paper. We're gonna get this in a nice like something we can listen to and we can react to it. So if it just looks good, we're just gonna add it. Diets rich in fruits and vegetables may promote better sleep. Okay, I think medicine is a good topic. Anxiety is contagious. Wow, these are just really not updated. I mean, the latest neuroscience news on this is January 31st, y'all. How outdated is this? Meanwhile, we have, I mean, other journals are getting updated consistently. Hmm. Let's tap into this one. Do y'all have any like sites that y'all get your news from? As far as it relates to science. Not talking politics all of a sudden. But forest living East African chimpanzees are digging wells for cleaner water. What the freak? Y'all never forget the best video I saw finding water. I don't know if y'all have seen it, but basically, I'm just gonna share this. There were these like, I don't know, tribal people that were in a remote place and they needed some water. So what they did was they looked around, saw that there was some like monkeys or monkeys, not just chimpanzees. I don't remember, but monkeys. They're like, okay, if there's animals there, they must be getting water from somewhere. So what they went over to a tree, and a tree that was visible to the monkeys, and he starts just like working on the tree. He's like carving something into a hole, and he's making sure the monkeys can see him. And then he puts something in there. And again, he's obvious. He's putting something in there, and it's salt. Now, once he puts that in there, he leaves and hides. And then he waits for the monkey to go see what he put in there. And he dug that hole in a way where if you put your hand in there and try to grab something and close it, it gets stuck. So the tribal dude did that. The monkey goes in there, grabs the salt, and his hand gets stuck. And the guy runs over there, ties the monkey to a tree, gives that monkey the salt. So he wasn't like totally brutal. He gives him the salt. He gives him what he wants. But then he leaves that monkey for like a day, like tied up. Maybe not a whole day, but for a while. And it just had all that salt. So he leaves it till it knows that monkey is so freaking thirsty. And then he goes back over to the monkey, releases it, and the monkey takes off. And it darts right to its secret stash or location for water. And the tribal dudes, they all just follow the monkey and they find the secret stash of water or secret fountain. And I thought that was so smart. So smart. Look to nature and then you can exploit it. So I thought that was really smart. Anyways, exit out of it. No, this has so many ads on this page. No. Yeah. Why is this article only like half a page? Well, that's okay, y'all. We might have to find a different website because that just sucks. That website just sucks. Let me go back to my favorites. This was Side News. I mean, I used news last time. It wasn't that bad. Let's try Science Daily. This one was a good one. June 21st. Okay, we're getting some updates on this one. Here we go. Can y'all see this one? We good? Snapdragon. How do I get exit? Exit. Exit. All right. We're out of coffee, so that's a. Oh, is it? I'm not clicking on that, y'all. I'm not clicking on it. Definitely get banned if I click on that, you guys. I don't have a big enough platform yet to be like talking about certain stuff and not be able to like withstand the consequences of it. You know what I mean? Like the muting. Like I can't build a community if I'm getting shadow banned every stream. Unfortunate. So you're clear from. At least maybe we can touch back on them when we get to that chapter in the Biochem series. And it'll be like, all right, look, we're finding the news on this. So, but for now, let's try to keep it. I'm not saying that's not appropriate to talk about, but we're on YouTube, so it's a different type of appropriate. My Rumble streams, we will talk about that kind of stuff. I'm open. So we got tech, health, environment, society. I like how they broke this down. So health and medicine, mind and brain. So we can just go to this for what? Diabetes, yeah, that's still a thing for a lot of people. And detects Parkinson's. Yo, if AI is sniffing earwax and detecting Parkinson's, using AI in just weird ways. I don't like the way we give life to AI with our diction. That's something I have a problem with as well. Brain food fight. Record moving on and off. I mean, we've been known about molecules that affect food hunger. So CRISPR edited stem cells reveal hidden causes of autism. Honey? Smell tells your brain to stop eating. Brain glitch makes you think you're still hungry. Squeeze your nose and blow really hard. Well, brain computer interface restores real-time speech in ALS patient. Jeez. Biotech. I mean, we gotta talk about this stuff. If we gotta talk about the brain chip, we gotta talk about the. We gotta talk about it, right? No way that's not relevant. That's from June 11th. The breakthrough reversing brain aging and memory loss. We're gonna tap into this. We had a whole take on the CRISPR, so tapping into the CRISPR stuff. I mean, like there's so much hype on it, but there's still like a lot of relevant research. Diabetes migraines in half by targeting brain pressure. Which one should we click on, y'all? Should we click on this one? Will we get in trouble? Will YouTube ban us if we talk about these three topics? Medical devices, pharmacology, and viruses? Oh, it just opens the rabbit hole. You know it does. You know it does. It really does. It opens the rabbit hole. Okay, so we clicked on the brain one, the CRISPR one. I just want to talk about it. I do. So one shot to stop. See what I mean? That one is the quick button. Ooh. Definitely get banned if we talk about any of this. Oh my goodness. Long read sequencing to the clinic. Cancer-specific structural variations and copy number aberrations and long read DNA sequencing data. What do y'all think? Are y'all seeing any of these looking good? Hybrid worm throat? Yeesh. Look at that. Look at that. Interesting. Viral infection, arthritis-like disease. Unlocking the secrets of bat immunity. Look at the research that's going on, y'all. Like, what? Bat immunity? Why are we look? Yikes. Yikes. Yo, I can't get out of this stuff. Oh, South African scientists have engineered or had identified 2 new breast cancer genes. We talked about it earlier. Hey, where's the research at? Who's doing the research? And why is it getting done in South Africa? Interesante, ¿no? Interesante. And if y'all gotta go, feel free to go. I'm gonna be finding this research, and then you, of course, will get notified when I drop that Science News podcast episode. Y'all can listen to that on your own and whatnot. Yeah, I think we gotta talk about South African studies. Definitely should. Man, the ads are crazy. I guess you guys can't see this, so gosh, I gotta go to the bathroom. All right, let's test some stuff out. Let's see if we can get this. Excuse me, in our model. What's this? What's this? This is the wrong one. Website. Will it work? Hey, it worked. All right, so we added this. Which one? South African study identifies 2 new breast cancer genes in Black women. No, so specific. What the heck in Black women? I just saw a South African study breast cancer. Oh well. I wonder how that'll. Interesting. Dude, these ads are just like blocking where I can move my mouse. Jeez. World's largest bat organoid platform paves the way for pandemic preparedness. World's largest bat organoid platform. Particles carrying multiple V words doses could reduce the need for follow up. I literally can't click on any of those. We'll get banned. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. Yeesh. This is too much. This is too much. We're going to have to choose the topics ourselves, I think. We're going to have to choose it ourselves. You know, I love talking about that. We know we love talking about that gene modification. Personalized medicine. I do like that. You know, drop in the chat what y'all want to dive into. Fat ad about pills. All the ads. Gosh. Please. Oh my. I clicked on cancer. Why is it showing everything but that? What the heck? Okay. Here we go. Brain cancer. Electric fields supercharge immune assault. Triple therapy. Glioblast. Wow. Okay, this is kind of interesting, y'all. This is kind of interesting. I love when they talk about like biomarkers and stuff like that because when you study that kind of stuff, you see the connectiveness of a lot of not only compounds but just processes. And you can find clues way upstream that affect the downstream process or outcome. So, from blood tests to tumor detection is pretty incredible. You can do that a variety of ways, right? Like what happens at a tumor. Just think about it conceptually. What's happening at a tumor? Cancerous. You're getting lots of cell division and replication and things like that. So the products of those processes, like maybe CO2 or something like that, is going to be prevalent, right? So you'll find different molecules or proteins overexpressed, and that is indicative of some form of pathology, usually, or can be. You can relate concentration to perhaps stage or severity. I think that's really cool. John Hopkins, very notorious. I think that's the word. That might have a negative word or a negative sound to that, but blood test lab, that'd be cool. Shocking brain cancer breakthrough. Electric fields supercharge immune assault. We'll click on that. Llama antibodies that shut down SOVID, that word, that C word, and its future variants. Oh, we gonna click on this. We're gonna click on this. All right, we got it. I'm pretty sure we got a good amount. We got a good amount. So we've got, I guess I can't show this on some. We're going to open this one. Genetic text against HIV. Isn't there like a population somewhere in the world that's immune to HIV? Isn't there like a population that either produces something or doesn't produce something that makes them immune? Precision tool for mitochondrial. Oh, mitochondrial DNA manipulation. Yikes. Why are you doing that? Why are you doing that? CAR T cell therapy for cancer causes brain fog. Cell-based immunotherapy causes mild cognitive impairment. Structure dictates effectiveness, safety in nanomedicine. Sheesh. See, there's just so much to talk about. I need some help, y'all. I need y'all to help me slim down our choices. Critical enzyme keeps potentially dangerous enzymes in check. I like engineering a smart delivery for gene editors. Transports gene editing tools based on the CRISPR-Cas9 gene editing system into living cells with significantly greater efficiency. Yeah, what's happening? All right, y'all. We found some articles. I'm gonna throw these. I'm gonna straight up just throw these in my model. That's the beauty of this. I don't have to go and read every single one of these. I can literally and go here, add, and hopefully we can tell it to talk about all of them. So to engineering smart delivery. So if I give too many though, it might be a problem. I'll be honest. If I give, yeah, see, I didn't do anything on that. So we'll just exit out. I'll keep it to what we had already on. This one will add. And then I'll post the links in the chat. Although that honestly might have gotten me in trouble too, because I posted one link and my chat was disabled. I don't know if that link is being the problem or it's just me mentioning AAV, but something got me banned. I don't know. Shadow ban temporarily banned. But hopefully not. One thing for sure I will do, because it'll produce the podcast, I'll include links to the articles, the full articles. So shocking brain cancer breakthrough. Let's throw that one in there. And then, yep. This is way too many. No, this is way too many. There's literally like 10 articles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We ain't done. We're going to push the boundaries. We're going to see how many it can actually discuss. Let's test the boundaries of our model. CRISPR. Yep. So far it's taking all of these. I think it's the per domain that I'm using. Just okay. So now we need a query. We need to. So if I go to the prompt, I need a specific prompt now. So I provided the model with the links in the articles. Now we need to prompt it to do what we want. So if I do that, Okay, let's click on this. And like this. If I do this and then go here and then I go customize, I go like this. This is episode Cinco. Do y'all remember? Let's see. I think it's episode 5. I think. Been on a little fungi arc recently on my channel, and I don't think YouTube, but I don't care. Yeah, we're on episode 5. Episode 5. Oh, what just happened? Screen. Weird. All right, so we're on episode 5. Give my prompt. All right. Should be that simple. Shorter default or longer, guys. Y'all like the longer or what? I think the longest is less than 30, but the shortest is like 9 minutes. So default is oh, there's a lot longer this time. And all right, y'all, it's generating right now. And right back. I'm gonna go to the restroom. Are we back, peeps? We back. Quick intermission. Generating it right now. It's going to take some time based on 9. Yeah, we used 9 sources, 9 articles. So it might take some time and it might be pretty long. I don't know how much depth when it's that many sources and it's not all completely connected. So usually the model works better if it's like similar topics and it comes up with a bigger idea, but that's okay. So we're going to exit now out of these. Jeez. Okay. We exited. Oh, I think we got it. Should we listen to it together? Sometimes it's not too good. We might have to regenerate it, but also bad. If it's bad when you guys are hearing it, should we react to it now? I'll just download it. I'll download it and place it, and I'll upload it today. After the stream, I'll upload this, okay? But since I have you guys on, we'll react to it after it's been up for like a day or two. Save as, downloads, videos, podcast, V5, episode 5, naming convention for me. All right, so we got that one good. We got that one ready. Now, what y'all feeling? How are y'all feeling so far in the stream? How we feeling? Should we keep going? Should we keep going, y'all? Are we locked in? So I'm looking up to the our Biochem series. What do y'all think? Should we jump to that? Pull up the textbook? Yes, no, maybe so. All right, y'all, I'm pulling it up. I'm going to pull up the textbook. Our Biochem book. We're going to jump back in this series, into our series, y'all. Because we got to get through this water. We've got to. Let's see. Okay, we got through that last section. I think last time we did this, what happened? I was like also showing some images from online on a Word doc, and it just completely blacked out my stream. I was just like, what the heck? So I don't know if I actually covered hydrophobic interactions. I want to say we did not. So let's jump into that. And then how many? So after this, it's going to be hydrogen bonds, 2.2. 2.3 is acids, bases, and pHs. Why are you guys not seeing this? Why am I not showing you this? Share the screen. Come on. Share the screen. You're supposed to yell at me. Share the screen. Okay, so pH. Look at that. Y'all ready for that? Are y'all ready? Some math? Y'all ready for some math? Henderson Hasselbalch. That's what y'all gotta learn. No, I think we just kind of brushed over this. Titration curves. Ooh. No way am I professional enough to go over each one of these topics. Buffers. Ooh. You guys, do I want to? Let me know in the chat if y'all want to go over each one of these, or buffer chemistry, biological buffers. It's so important that we kind of talk about this, but lactic acid sports, y'all know about that. That'd be interesting. But look what's next. Look what's next. What we've been waiting for. What we've been waiting for. Chirality? Come on, stereoisomers, structures. What do y'all think? Jump to chapter 3, amino acids and peptides, or lock in and ride this freaking chapter 2 out. Do we ride chapter 2 out? It's funny too, because chapter 2 was like one of the first tests, maybe the second test in biochem. And I took biochem before I took gen chem. So I didn't learn anything about buffers and any of that stuff. I got thrown into it. It was really, really difficult for me. Obviously, I got better at it, but yeah, it was super, super weird. Honestly, how about this? Just because, you know, I got to feel it as well. Let's just cover this summary of chapter 2, the rest of it. And then we jumping into amino acids. All right, so chapter 2 is on water. Let's just jump in, y'all. Chapter 2 is on water. When two atoms with the same electronegativity form a bond, they're shared equally. It's nonpolar, right? And if we have differing electronegativity, you can look at the Pauling electronegativity chart, pretty sure, to figure out the exact values. But if they're differing electronegativity, when they form a bond, they won't be shared equally. And the more negative charge is found closer to one of the atoms. Then we bring in the polar nature of water, which determines its solvent properties. And we discussed what happens, like if you look at our YouTube short, what actually happens when you make salt with water. And you find that these ions, or salt, sodium chloride, dissociate to form ions, Na plus Cl minus. And then the various polar molecules of water orient and situate themselves around these ions in a way that balances out the charges. And that's how we get this dissolving occurring. Okay. So be sure to check out that short. Go ahead and like that one. It's a nice little short. Right, and we said what part of water gives it that, you know, polar nature? It's having that those dipole moments. Right, we have our differing electronegativity values for oxygen and hydrogen, leading to delta negative for the oxygen and delta plus for the H's, and that leads to the orientation of how they interact with those ions, like salt. The implications for this go beyond just mixing salt and water, obviously, because anytime we know that water is the universal solvent, we're mostly water, and that leads to lots of interactions going on occurring in water. So there we go. Ionic compounds, full charges, they're going to tend to dissolve in water. So full charges, right? Like dissolves like. That's so you can remember. Opposites attract and like dissolves like. So polar dissolves polar. The positive N, yep, that's what we were talking about. Oil molecules are amphipathic. I don't think we touched on this. Amphipathic. Just meaning they have both sides. They have a hydrophobic and a hydrophilic side. And we're talking oil. And what else comes to mind are lipid membranes, right? You have your hydrophilic lipid polar head and your non-polar hydrophobic tail of hydrocarbons orienting themselves in a phospholipid bilayer. We may not have gotten to all of this, but this is what we see when we think hydrophobic, hydrophilic, amphipathic. these types of words. Polar, non-polar. You need to start to situate and think about these things from a molecular level, then to an organizational level, such as in membranes. And the implications for that, or what that allows for, it allows for selective diffusion. Selective diffusion. We may not have gone through all of that, but the main thing is that you're noticing molecular constituents and spatio-temporal properties that reveal and allow us to predict interactions in solution, which is pretty much everything within the body. It's all in the solution, right? So that's why it's important. That's why we're literally just talking about water right now, when really it matters about all reactions, basically. So yeah, oil and water will separate into layers, as we know. The polar head groups of the oil molecules are in contact with the aqueous environment, and the non-polar tails are sequestered from the water. Not only with just oil and water, we see this in chemistry, right? When we are using separatory funnels, and we'll have organic solvents and polar solvents, and we utilize that to separate things out. So we can vary the protonated states of our molecules based on things like pH, and that will allow us to move whatever our molecule of interest is into an aqueous or an organic solvent phase, allowing us to separate them. And again, this all plays on properties of polarity and electronegativity and things like that. So that's why it's important dynamics for us to discuss. It's not just like, dude, oil and water, no one cares. No one cares. You should care. And I don't know when people are in the chat, so if I don't see something when y'all are talking, I apologize. I'll try to tap in when I can. Let me just, wow, my screen doesn't want to move. Okay, we'll keep going from there. So we also mentioned the different forces, right? So we have our van der Waals, we have our dipole moments, our ion-dipole interactions, we have our ionic bonds, covalent bonds, hydrogen bonding. Hydrogen bonding, super important. Water and its unique properties. So I remember going in biology, we literally had like a whole section on just water. And we talked about the properties of water. What were some of the things? It's density, it's forgetting the words we talked about. Adhesive properties, surface tension, boiling point, all these different things that are a result. A lot of all of the properties you see in molecules are due to its constituents and how it's oriented and those constituents and the bonds that are in place. So when we see more hydrogen bondings, we see higher boiling points. Okay, so that's important. That's very important for all types of reactions. Okay, so you definitely want to remember that. More hydrogen bonds, higher boiling point. Higher boiling point. Extensive hydrogen bonding possible between water molecules. Okay, very, very important, y'all. I can't stress that enough. Hydrogen bonding is actually, it gives you so many clues. So we'll bring this up again when we get to talking about DNA. But a lot of the things when talking about DNA, and we'll be discussing things like PCR and just getting into the DNA molecules or the DNA molecule. We're going to be talking a lot about purines and pyrimidines and how, we may not have gone over it yet, but you probably know this, of how the nucleotide bases pair up with each other. And the way they pair up to each other is largely due to the hydrogen bondings that we see between those purines and pyrimidines. And some will have 2 hydrogen bonds, some will have 3. And that's why we often focus, or it's a relevant point of interest, because it'll tell us a variety of things, right? How easy it is, how easy are we able to break up this DNA strand, right? For things like replication. So, I mean, we're speeding through a lot of topics when I talk about this, but like helicase needs to separate strands, right? We're going to go to a very AT rich region that allows it to have fewer hydrogen bonds, allowing the strands to separate, versus, something like GC bonds, where it's going to have more hydrogen bonds. And we want that for that proper annealing. So that may have sounded like a lot of gibberish, but hold on to those ideas of polarity and the different bonds that we see, hydrogen bond especially. Okay. The extensive hydrogen bonding requires large amounts of energy to disrupt, and therefore it melts and boils at higher temperatures than other molecules of its relative size. So there you go. That's why we have a higher boiling point. Now, acids, bases, and pH. Acids are compounds that release hydrogen ions. In other words, they're proton donors. Bases are compounds that act as proton acceptors. Okay? The mathematical definition of pH is the negative of the logarithm of hydrogen ion concentration. It's easier to look at the equation rather than hear the we'll let that one go with where it is. Now, when we're talking pH, this is the measure of the acidity of the solution. Okay? So the pH, the more acidic the solution and more ions in solution. Pretty sure pH stands for like percent hydronium, something like that, in solution. So because of the long term, a pH change of 1 unit means a 10-fold change in hydrogen ion concentration. So drastic changes in pH are a lot bigger than what you think if you're just thinking 2 to 5, right? Now, it's very important when talking about in the biological state or how reactions occur in the body, we have to realize they're occurring at a physiological pH. Now, this is around 7. Okay, and that'll be often referenced. This is happening at physiological pH. This is going to be even more relevant when we're talking about the amino acids in a sec, because some amino acids will be protonated and some will be deprotonated based on the pH that you're at, where you're at in the body. Are you in the intestines? Are you in the stomach with a low pH within the acid? Or are you in a more neutral state like the blood? And you know what I mean? What state are your R groups on your amino acids? Are they protonated or deprotonated? Zwitter ions. We're about to touch into all of this stuff right now. So maybe just throwing a lot of stuff at y'all, but key components: polarity, electronegativity, pH, right? Low pH, acidic, high pH, basic. Those have implications for your physiological state and whether your R groups are protonated or deprotonated. We'll expand, don't worry. Variations in pH may occur in certain subcellular organelles. A cell must maintain a pH near neutrality in order to stay alive. Okay, so in general, we're staying around that like 6.8 to 7.2 range, I want to say. That's what I would say. And a big way we're able to achieve this is biological buffers, right? We're not just a body of water. I mean, these are buffers in it. And buffers have different compounds or ions in it that allow for a limitation of the fluctuations of pH. This is what helps us maintain homeostasis and prevent extreme changes in our physiological pH. Okay, so buffers work based on the nature of weak acids and their conjugate bases that compose the buffer. If a source of extra hydrogen ion is added to a buffer solution, the conjugate base to form the weak acid rather than a strong acid, right? So we're not seeing a drastic change, maybe a little bit. And this leads us to titration talk. And I'll tell you this, I hated titration. I hated over in titration. It was so frustrating doing titration. I'll be honest. It was very frustrating. I didn't really have the patience for it. Okay. So why does all this matter? Again, we're going to be talking about, it matters for a different few reasons. Like we said, chemical separate chemicals and compounds based on their pH and their protonated states. Will they be in the aqueous phase or organic phase? And we have separatory funnels to separate them out based on hydrophobic and hydrophilic properties, things like that. Things will start to add up, right? This is a crescendo, tumultuous, like building of knowledge and foundation, and you learn these very atomic or molecular concepts that extend to biological processes and systems. So maintain that. Hydrogen bonding, we're talking about in the sense of, but we're going to be talking about it in the sense of DNA. You see how it connects. So sometimes this is biochem. Remember that. This is biochem. So sometimes we're heavy on the chem, sometimes we're heavy on the bio, but in general, we're speaking about it from the perspective of its, more core state, and then connecting it to the whole system, biological system, typically. Now, if a source of hydroxide ion is added to the buffer, it reacts with the weak acid to form water in the conjugate base. Lots and lots of stuff. I know this is probably not, unless you went through that chapter, right, and took a test. I kind of want to show you some of my tests. Maybe I'll do that in another stream one day. Some of my previous tests, because I pretty much keep all my tests, I don't really take notes, but yeah, I've kept a lot of stuff in my tests for sure, and a taste of it, or you can go find some online. But yeah, there's some math that goes down. You know what I mean? You have to do some math sometimes. Go between pH, pOH. Now, what else is important here? So buffers are not just artificial system. They're not just an artificial system used in the laboratory. Living systems are buffered by naturally occurring compounds. That's what's key. We may talk about things in isolation or in vitro, but try to bridge it to how does this work inside the body? You know what I mean? Naturally occurring phosphate and carbonate buffers help maintain physiological pH near 7. Okay? Phosphate and carbonate. Big ones. Big ones. And it's because you're going to see like PO4 negative, what is it? PO4 negative 3, CO3 2, like negative 2. Like you have multiple partial charges or charges that allow for high ions to bind to this, and it won't fluctuate from strong to weak as much. Look at that. That was a mess. But go through. We didn't look at any of these structures, any of this, because honestly, that would get us all lost in the sauce for sure. No doubt. But we can look right here. Blood plasma around 7.4. Human urine, pH of 6.2. Okay? When we get to the urea cycle and nitrogen cycle, and near the end of the book, we'll be looking at pH. Look at the difference. Household ammonia, 11.5. Wow. Okay, so yeah, and this is why buffers, and again, just to make a quick take on the buffers, that's why when you consume a lot of acidic foods, your blood isn't just completely acidic, right? We have buffers, phosphate and carbonate buffers in our blood and in our body. Whew. Wow, we made it. Y'all with me? Y'all still with me? Whew. That was tough. We made it through the chapter of water, finally. Why did we want to get to amino acids? Because when we get to this, we're going to be talking, we're going to be getting to the premise of how information is transformed and moved, and how things are created and catalyzed, and it really comes down to amino acids, peptides, and enzymes. And we're at the building blocks, the monomers. Okay, the monomers. So, are y'all with me? Are y'all still with me? Do we keep going, y'all? Do y'all have the mental stamina? Remember, BBE, big brain energy. That's what we giving right now. That's what we giving right now. Biotech and chill. Nerd minds and goated. What is it? Nerd vibes and goated minds. There it is. We're out of coffee, y'all. We're out of coffee. It's so unfortunate. It's all right. Let's give it a little lowdown on what we're going to see in chapter 3. So we're going to identify what are amino acids, the structures and properties of these amino acids. We're going to look at some. We're going to find out how we can group them up based on things that we have just went over, like electronegativity or polarity. Like we said, we're going to be grouping them up. We're going to learn about some of the abbreviations. There's a 3-letter word naming convention and a 1-letter. And I'll tell you this, in biochem, I actually was tested on this. So depending on your professor, you may be tested on this, and you may have to know both. Acidic amino acids. Yeah, these are just ways of grouping them up. It'll honestly really help you of how you memorize amino acids. Our uncommon ones, amino acids that can act as both acids and bases. Did I see what Zwitter ion? See, you see it? See that? Type. You're going to find out what histidine. And we're going to bring that back. We're going to reference that back to physiological pH, right? We're going to be talking about it at that. Let's see, electrophoresis, separating molecules. Okay. I like this. I like when we start to talk about some techniques, because that's going to be a fun chapter. And it relates to biotech, because that's what we actually do in industry. You learn about this theoretical stuff, but what are you actually doing at your job? Not really doing a lot of theoretical stuff. You're using the machinery and techniques that came about from understanding this theoretical lore. So based on charges, we're able to utilize maybe magnetic beads and use that to bind things and separate them out. So principles of electronegativity and polarity are everywhere. And like I mentioned before, pH states, you know what I mean? Protonated states, and how we can move that around and use that to separate things. So important. And that's where the magic is. That's where the alchemy is, kind of. You know what I mean? By understanding these inter and intramolecular forces, we're able to make predictions and manipulate things on such a unique and specific way. It's very impressive. But again, in industry, it's not so important that you can, I mean, at least from what I've seen, it's not so important if you calculate the isoelectric point. You can probably just look it up in a chart. So, but again, we're going through this to build that foundational knowledge. And then when we talk about things like in our Science News podcast, and we bring up some of the experiments and techniques of how they came to those conclusions, it'll make sense on a theoretical and more molecular or atomic level. So the peptide bond, right? Things are built. We're starting to go from monomers to polymers, building polypeptide chains. This is all what's coming, y'all. We'll have small peptides and larger ones. We'll get to the development of hormones. And that's pretty much it. This, I feel like, was water. What comes after this? Right? So we're going to build the foundational knowledge. Then we're going to jump to the 3-dimensional structures of proteins. This will be important because this is where we're going to start getting some noticeable properties start to manifest in this 3-dimensional range. Okay? But even after that, so that's 4. That's what's coming. I don't want to get too ahead, right? So this is going to be the organization of life. We're going to start to see more and more hierarchical processes developed based on molecular interactions that allow for systematic stacking. So we're going to talk about the helix, double helix, triple helix. Triple helix. Y'all want to see some sketch? There was this video of, I think, the Queen of England or something like that. She like pressed some button and like this whole like aisle lit up, and it lit up this triple helix tree. And like, if y'all know what I'm talking about, if you know, you know. But yeah, the triple helix. That was an interesting video to see. Go scour the web to find that one. But we're getting to proteins. We're about to get to proteins, and we start talking proteins, y'all. We get to proteins, we're going to be getting to now we're talking okay, now we're talking about some of the techniques. X-ray crystallography, NMR. Myoglobin. Yeah, we referenced this in the last Science News podcast, maybe the one before. We were talking about CRISPR, hemoglobin, myoglobin, fetal hemoglobin. Yeah, dive into the nuances. Like, all right, we're looking at the. I remember getting to this part, and I was just like, "Wow, man! I feel so like honored to be seeing and thinking and learning things at such a scale that just has gone overlooked in so much of history." It's powerful, y'all. It's powerful when we start to get to this ligand binding and interactions and cell signaling. It's about to all make sense. These early chapters are truly the building points. And then it gets to the systems. So these early chapters are the interactions that kind of drive the systems. But when we start to get to the systems, man, it's so beautiful, and it all just connects. So peptides, right on. We good, y'all? How y'all feeling? How we feeling? Will sourdough take? A little message from Indeed. What do you think, y'all? Should I drop the Science News podcast right now? Yeah. We're approaching 3 hours. This is exactly what we wanted. We're about to hit that 3-hour stream. We just finished a chapter and gave some previews into what's coming. We're getting to the good stuff, y'all. We're really close to the good stuff. And we've already been exploring the good stuff, touching on it. And I'm really glad we're tapping in. So just while I'm here right now, I'll just upload it real quick. Can I do that? Shoot, I don't know if I can do that. I actually don't know if I can just... Yeah, I think I actually have to build it with the visual first. Right, because it's a video form, so... I'm going to turn into a video real quick. I should probably get a new... maybe I should, maybe I shouldn't. I've built thumbnails for maybe like 1 or 2 of the Science News podcasts, but I kind of want to just keep that like little ending loop video that I have for it. Just because it's audio, I kind of wanted y'all to just, listen to it maybe on your ride home or to work. So we're going to create just a video. I guess you guys can't see this, but I'm building it in Canva real quick. So I'm just taking my audio file, bringing it in, attaching my ending clip with it, and then I should be able to just upload it. Okay, so that. Jack those cookies. Yes. This is a good stream, y'all. Thanks for tapping in. I really like that we had some communication going this time too, because I want to hear your guys' takes. You know what I mean? Whoa. Almost there. God. Whoa. No, don't freeze. It was going super. Just got to the end and just like, it stopped. There we go. Okay. What? No. That's weird. It should just do the whole thing. Don't you think? Oh, that's weird. By the way, it's 25 minutes and 22 seconds. If you were wondering. Jeez. Okay. Oh, man. Sometimes, Canva. Sometimes. Oh, dude, there's got to be a faster way. Why does it do that? Oh, come on. Please. What? Oh, jeez. All right. Jeez. Come on. Come on. Dude. No way. There's just no way. Man, how do I get this to where I could just... I really... This is like painfully annoying. I have to like extend a little like 5-second blank clip space, because when I input the audio, it just clips the audio to the length of this short audio or short visual clip. Excuse me. How absolutely stupid. Gosh, that's so annoying. That's so annoying. Oh, you know what I was supposed to do? I was supposed to extend to 10, then duplicate. Nah? See how that works? Then we're at 24. That was the trick. Extend one to the longest you can. Then take this one. 4. Take this one. We're going to delete and then take this and then duplicate. That hits the 30 mark. That's what it was, y'all. That's the trick. Yeesh. Okay, how's that work? How does that look? All right. Juicy. Okay. Yeah, I kind of like that. I kind of like that. What's up, shady lady? You ready to go outside? Yes, yes, yes. So yeah, I'm just closing up this stream, y'all, by building our. You think this is for you? You don't want it? You can have it. Just don't eat the rest of it, okay? All right, then we add in our visual, which is this one. Shoot. Oh yeah, is it just gonna? That's exactly what I wanted, right there. See if I did it correctly. I need one more here. How's that? I know, shady lady. We're almost done. We are. I will take you out in a sec. Oi. Okay. All right. Let me just test it out. Looks good. Looks good. Audio. Audio's there. All right, peeps. We've got our Science News podcast. I'm about to drop that for y'all. Okay, okay. I'm gonna drop that for y'all right now. It's just gonna download. Whoa. Share. Download. Excuse me. All right, we are downloading that now. I will upload it as well. Man, this was a fun stream, y'all. Fun stream. It was a fun one. Stop sharing. What's up? What is up? What is up? What is up? That was good. That was good. That was good. All right, so we downloaded, about to upload. And yeah, y'all, I want you guys to tap in the Science News Podcast, episode 5. Be sure to tap in today. It's dropping after this stream, all right? Listen to that. Have some takes on it, you know what I mean? You can check out the, I'll post the links to each article in the description of it. And we'll tap in with another live stream the next day, like maybe tomorrow or Tuesday. I want to at least get like some views on it, give enough time for some people to watch it. And yeah, if we can't go live because this stream got a shadow ban again, I will maybe do a post on here and just let you know we're going to be streaming on Rumble, okay? Because that is our home site. When they shut us down, y'all, when they cut our communication off here, we're going to be on Rumble, okay? So you can find us here on YouTube, Rumble, Instagram, Lab Coat Mushrooms, all right? So stay tuned. Stay locked in with your boy, Iki the Scientist. It's been fun, y'all. See you soon.